How to make faster decisions. So, as an entrepreneur or business owner, you are constantly making decisions. Like every single day, you're making tons of little decisions and maybe big decisions and medium sized decisions and everything in between. Like from whether or not to open an email, whether or not to read an email, whether or not to respond to an email, whether or not to say yes to an opportunity, no to an opportunity. You're just constantly like making these little decisions, whether or not to read a news article, whether or not to read a social media post. There's just all these decisions. And then there's like personal life decisions, and where do we go for dinner? Where do we do this or that? So we're just like constantly making decisions. And I used to get very tired if I had too many decisions to make, and especially like creative decisions. If you're writing a book or you're working on a very super creative project and it takes up a lot of brain power, you're actually making lots of decisions as you're doing that work. And that can be very tiring. That can be draining depending on a lot of other things, like, how well rested you are, how well fed you are, whether you've eaten the right foods or you've eaten foods that give you brain fog or whatever. So there's like lots of little things contributing to how you feel. But the way that I found to make faster decisions, first of all, I was a little bit resistant to making quick decisions because I thought I had to spend a lot of time thinking about a decision before I actually made it. And, depends on the circumstance, whatever you're deciding on. But there's this tendency to want to analyze all the different possibilities. If you're considering buying something that costs a lot, there's like this tendency to want to read all of the information about it, to read the whole sales page, to read all of the testimonials, to do all this like background research. And it can take a long time, and it takes a lot of energy to do that. And then there's like this skepticism, like, will I get what I think I'm going to get? Or will I, is this a bad decision? Is this a good decision? So you're like not sure of the outcome. And that slows down the decision-making process. And there's also just like the fear of making a wrong decision. Like, what if I completely screw up? What if this is like a huge mistake, assuming that you'll never be able to recover from that? So all of these things make your decision-making process slow down. And then, there's also like the fear of making a wrong decision, like as if you just can't move on from it. So here's something to think about. The number of decisions that we have to make for most people is not going to decrease. It's actually going to increase. We're at this weird time in history where everything is literally speeding up. Like everything is speeding up. Inflation is going up, like time is speeding up, like just all this like speed around us. And that can be exhausting if you do not know how to view it correctly. If you don't know how to approach it with not even just a positive mindset, but a mindset of like, I can actually do this. Like I can navigate through this quickly. So I like to think of it as kind of like you're surfing. You're in the ocean, you're on the waves, you're like on the water, and you're just, moving very quickly. If you get stuck on one part of the wave, you're going to wipe out, you're going to fall down, you're, possibly die, possibly drown. And so you don't want to do that. You just have to keep flowing with it. So your day is literally like you're surfing a bunch of waves. You've got this thing, and then you've got this thing. And like, how graceful would it be to just be able to flow through it without getting stuck on something, without overanalyzing something, without feeling like you need to spend a lot of time on one particular area. And you just kind of speed it up, and, it flows very well. That's how I like to think of it as. So here's some ways where you don't have to spend a lot of time making a decision. One is you don't have to analyze everything. You don't analyze everything. Two is have some faith. Like have faith in the universe, have faith in God, have faith in yourself. There's something about this that I'm drawn to, so I'm going to say yes. That's it. Okay. Number 3, don't be afraid to make a wrong decision. There's actually like no such thing as a wrong decision for a lot of the decisions that we have to make. There's learning, there's growing, there's gathering data, figuring out how this worked out, how it didn't work out. And then number 4, make the decision and then make it right. I've heard other people talking about this, and it used to really irritate me, but I think it's a really cool concept because you make the decision, you say, okay, something about this is drawing me to it. I'm just going to do it. You do it, and perhaps, some things are good about it. Some things turn out not so good about it. Make it right. So the things that turned out good, you extract the goodness from that, and then you move on. The things that turned out wrong, you extract the wisdom out of that, and you say, I'm never going to do that again, and then you move on. So either way, you make it right. And either way, like however the decision turned out, you make a choice to make it right, because you're going to move on from it. Like, you're not going to sit there and like pine over a bad or a good decision. Either way, it serves you. You grew from it. You experienced something from it. You learned something from it. Hopefully you integrated something from it, and then you move on. So here's like an example. So I've actually worked with a lot of different coaches and mentors and things like that. In my first book, I was talking about how a lot of those mentors are a joke for different reasons. But I've shifted my perspective on it to where I'm only working with people who have something that I admire, like they have a quality or a trait that I want more of in myself, or they've done something that I really want to do. And I'm coming to them for help learning from their skill set, because they're much more skilled at that thing than I am. So like, for example, when I wanted to learn how to become a better hip hop dancer, I hired a hip hop dancer who was really good in that area, and it just like sped up my learning process. So there was this one coach, and I spent probably 6 months studying their content on YouTube before I joined anything from this person. And then I joined. And then I took like another 5 months to be in that program until I made the decision to join the next level of program. And then once I was in that level, I took maybe another 5 or 6 months to decide whether I wanted to join the next level. And, the investment, the cost of this considerably went up with each level. But, I took my time in making the decision. I didn't make quick decisions on that. And part of that was I wanted to feel this person out. I wanted to see what they were all about. There was no urgency around it. There was no marketing campaign from them about why I should join now or that kind of thing. It was just very organic. And then that turned out to be a really good decision for me. Now, the investment on all of that, the highest level program, I was getting pushback from people in my life that told me I shouldn't do that higher level program for different reasons. It costs too much. It's not a good fit. The astrology says it's bad. I got all this pushback, and I even had a little bit of doubt within myself, but I did it anyway. And I didn't even use up all of the resources in that program, but I still got exactly what I needed. The character traits that I admired in this person, I gained that for myself. And I didn't even complete the full program, and I got it. I'm no problem, no question. This was worth it. Now, contrast that to a different coach. I found out about this person on an Instagram ad. I had never heard of them before. I didn't even particularly like their content, but I kept following this person, and she made a completely different approach. She had a different approach. So she did have a marketing campaign that was time sensitive. So she offered this free thing for 14 days. I did it, and I was like, there's something about this that's calling to me. So she made an offer to join her program, which was much lower cost, but still, a little investment, a couple $1,000. And I spent probably 1 to 2 days thinking about it. So it was a much quicker decision. And I was like, I'm trying to avoid programs. I'm trying to limit it, but there was something about it that was calling to me. It totally different from the first one. And I was like, I think I want to do this. So I just made that decision really way more quickly than I did the first one. Within like 1 or 2 days, I signed up to it. And I like completely had like huge breakthroughs. And I'm not going to like say the names of these people because it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, if somebody is calling to you or not, you know, if you're drawn to someone or not, it doesn't matter. Like, what I'm drawn to, you're not necessarily going to be drawn to it. But this is the way that you make good decisions, regardless of the speed that you make them at, is, are you drawn to the person? Are you drawn to their content that they're creating? Is there just something that's pulling towards you? Are they making an offer? And, you know, are you going to go for it? Or are you just going to be so paralyzed and afraid to make a wrong decision that you're not ever going to try it for yourself? So, quick decisions, slow decisions, the speed is up to you. I'm right now, I'm practicing making quick decisions just to experiment, just to see how it turns out. And I'm also using it as a way to like manage my emotions during the whole process. And the era of like slow decisions, I'm really looking at that as like, is that something that I want to have that remain in my life, or do I like this quick decision approach? It's kind of fun. Sometimes you have to let go of control a little bit more than, you know, the other route. Sometimes you have to spend more, and it's actually like, it's more like you're surfing bigger waves. And you're like doing, you know, you're going into the more dangerous waters that you haven't been in before. But it's also kind of satisfying because you're like, that was way more like rewarding than the little baby waves where I was just doing these little things. So that is my take on decision making, how to make faster decisions, how to make better decisions. Hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching.